A Shinagawa Monkey. The story begins with Mizuki's horrifying experience of forgetting her own name. She only forgets her name, especially when she is asked unexpectedly and needs to provide the answer, "My name is," right away. She forgets nothing else rather than her name. Mizuki Ozawa Ando claims that she is happily married with her husband, Takashi Ando. At first, Mizuki hasn't been able to get used to her new name, for it didn't just sound right to her. At her work, Mizuki continued to use her maiden name. She knew that in order for her to change it, she would do so many complicated things like changing all the data about her in the computer and such. So, Mizuki Ozawa was still the name she used in her business card and on her cards. Her husband knew that she is still going by her maiden name at work, but he didn't seem to have a problem with it. He understood that it was simply a matter of convenience. As days goes by, Mizuki began to worry that forgetting her name might be a symptom of an early stage of Alzheimer's disease. She went to a large hospital to explain her situation and hoping that they could treat her illness. After explaining her situation, the doctor told her that it might be a psychiatric case that she forgets nothing but her name. One day, Mizuki came across an article announcing that the ward office would be opening a counseling center. The center would be staffed by a professional counselor, offering private sessions at a greatly reduced rate. Mizuki adjusted her schedule to have an appointment in the counseling center. After arriving at the counseling center, Mizuki found out that she was their only client. Mizuki met her counselor whose name was Tetsuko Sakaki. After greeting and introducing with each other, Mizuki leaned back and began to explain what had happened to her. Mrs. Sakaki just listened carefully to Mizuki's story. After telling her story, Mrs. Sakaki began to ask questions to Mizuki to determine where it all started. Mrs. Sakaki began by asking several basic questions about Mizuki's life. How long have you been married? What kind of work do you do? How is your health? She went on to ask about her childhood, about her family, her schooling, things she enjoyed, things she didn't, things she was good at, and things she wasn't. Mizuki tried to answer each question. She told her about how she grew up in an ordinary family. Her parents weren't rich by any means, but she never remembered them hurting for money. Her sister was always top of her class. Mizuki had no special problems with her family. Mizuki was an average child back then, for she didn't stand out in anything. She had average looks, she is fairly intelligent, and always close to the top than the bottom. In short, she didn't excel in any particular areas. She didn't have anything bad to say about her marriage. In the beginning, she and her husband made the usual mistakes that young newlyweds make, but over time, they'd cobbled together a decent life. After telling her story, their session ended. "Mrs. Ando, can you come at the same time next Wednesday?" Mrs. Sakaki asked. "Yes, of course I can," Mizuki replied. During their second session, Mrs. Sakaki asked Mizuki if she can recall any event that had to do with names. Mizuki tried to think anything that had to do with names, but she seems not to recall anything. "Oh, wait! I do have a memory about a name tag," said Mizuki. "But it wasn't my name tag. It was somebody else," she added. "Okay, can you tell me about it?" Mrs. Sakaki asked. Mizuki told her counselor about how a girl named Yuko Matsunaka came to see her at her dorm when they were still students. Yuko was like a school idol, for she was far the prettiest girl in the dorm, and I don't know for sure, but I heard that her grades were very good. In other words, she stood out. Yuko asked Mizuki if she had ever been jealous. Mizuki could not think of any instances and did not see how Yuko could be jealous of anyone, for her life seems to be perfect. After their conversation, Yuko said she was going home for a funeral and asked if Mizuki would look after her name tag. "I don't want a monkey running off with it while I'm gone," she said. On Monday, Yuko didn't come back to the dorm, and it turned out she never gone home. No one in her family had passed away. There had been no funeral for her to attend, and she had lied about the whole thing, Mizuki told Mrs. Sakaki. They found her body almost a week. I heard that she had slit her wrist in the woods somewhere, she added. After the session, Mizuki went home to look for the name tags in her closet. But to her surprise, the name tags were gone. 2 months had passed. Every Wednesday, Mizuki made her way to the ward office for her appointment. This is our 9th session together, Mrs. Sakaki said. Perhaps, just perhaps, when you come next week, we will make a great progress concerning the issue we've been discussing. You mean my forgetting my name? Exactly. The following week, Mizuki entered the counseling office. Mrs. Sakaki told Mizuki that she discovered the reason why Mizuki forgets her own name and that she already found a solution to it. Mrs. Sakaki took something from her handbag and gave it to Mizuki. I believe these are yours, Mrs. Sakaki said. Mizuki turned pale after seeing the 2 name tags which she had lost. Mrs. Sakaki explained that the name tags weren't lost but were stolen by someone, and that they have already captured the culprit. She took Mizuki to the basement where her husband was waiting. In a small storage room, there was a chair on which a monkey was sitting. After seeing the monkey, Mizuki recalled what Yuko said. I don't want a monkey running off with it. So it wasn't a joke after all, huh? Mizuki said. The monkey began to speak and said that he is very sorry. He can talk? Mizuki exclaimed. The monkey explained that he is a kind of monkey who takes people's name. It is a sickness which he suffers from. Mrs. Sakaki told Mizuki that they caught the monkey who was hiding in the sewers. Her husband explained that with the help of Mrs. Sakaki's unusual powers, they were able to catch the culprit. The monkey pleaded for his life and is deeply sorry for what he did. He told them that he did cause a lot of trouble, but some good also comes from his actions. He explained that stealing people's names enables him to remove some of the negative elements that stick to those names. He is able to remove the darkness inside of the person he had stolen the name from. What sort of bad things came with my name? Mizuki asked the monkey. I'd rather not say, the monkey said. Please tell me, Mizuki insisted. If you answer my question, I'll forgive you and ask those present to forgive you. So, the monkey told Mizuki everything. Your mother doesn't love you. She has never loved you, not even for a minute since you were born. Your older sister doesn't like you either. Your mother sent you to Yokohama, which is a school far away from your house, to get rid of you. Your father isn't a bad person, but he couldn't stand up for you. I think you've had a clue about this, but you've intentionally turned your eyes away from it. You've tried to suppress any negative feelings. This defensive stance has become part of who you are. Because of this, you, yourself, has never been able to deeply, unconditionally love anybody else, said the monkey. Mizuki realized that everything the monkey said was true, and because of this, she will now change into a better version of herself. The end.